From Millionaire to Betrayal. She showed up in a gold Ferrari at his wedding with quintuple tails. The church bells chimed, a sweet serenade, but the air was thick with tension. Lars Dubois, a self-made millionaire, stood at the altar. Dressed in a crisp, tailored suit, he looked every bit the picture of happiness. His heart raced with excitement, but lurking below the surface was a knot of dread. As guests whispered and laughed, he could almost hear the ticking clock of fate counting down to something big, something bad. Just then, the double doors swung wide open with a dramatic crash, and everyone froze. In rolled a gold Ferrari, glimmering under the sun like a trophy. The roar of the engine cut through the ceremony like a knife, but it wasn't the car that stole the breath from Lars's lungs. It was her Samantha, his first love. The woman who had vanished without a trace over 5 years ago, reappearing now at the moment that should have been his finest hour. Satin and silk, she emerged from the car in a form-fitting dress that shimmered like her wheels. 5 other people spilled out behind her, 5 children, all identical and wide-eyed, their hair catching the sunlight like gold. Gasps echoed through the crowd. Whispers turned to shouts, questions clashed against disbelief. What the hell is she doing here? Those kids, are they? Then, one of the children smiled a smile that mirrored Samantha's. That was when the murmurs turned into a wave of shock. Did she really bring quintuplets to Lars's wedding? What kind of twisted game was she playing? Lars felt heat creep into his cheeks, a surge of confusion blending with rage and panic. The lump in his throat tightened. Friends turned to enemies in an instant, mouths agape, disbelief painting their faces. He thought he might collapse, everything spinning as he stumbled back, leaning on the altar for support. Was she there to ruin him? Or was it something worse? Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Samantha walked forward, her eyes locked onto Lars, her expression unreadable. The congregation held its breath, fear and disbelief hanging in the air like a thick fog. She stopped just a few feet away, the kids watching with innocent curiosity. Lars's heart raced as he braced for what she would say. Would she claim those children as his? Would she reveal secrets that could shatter everything? The questions loomed heavy as the world around them dissolved into a hush. Each second felt like an hour, tension swirling, waiting for a breaking point. Lars's palms were slick with sweat. All he could do was stand there, heart pounding, desperate to know how this twisted tale would unfold. What was next? Was his life really about to unravel in the most catastrophic way? Lars felt every gaze in the church turned toward him, judgment layered like a heavy blanket pressing down on his chest. The whispers rose again, sharp and invasive. Who are those kids? Are they his? The questions sliced through the air, each word piercing deeper into his already frayed nerves. Samantha opened her mouth, but no words came out at first. A moment stretched, pregnant with tension. Then, finally, her voice rang clear, cutting through the fog of disbelief. Lars, she exclaimed, her voice a mix of warmth and a strange bitterness. I'm back, and I brought your family. Time seemed to freeze. The room rocked on the edge of chaos. Lars's mouth went dry, and he fought to swallow the lump lodged in his throat. My family. There was disbelief in his tone, a harsh edge cutting deep into the impossibility of her statement. His eyes darted between Samantha and the children, trying to grasp what she was claiming. Outrage bubbled beneath his surface, threatening to boil over. 5 years, and this is how you show up. His voice trembled, teetering between anger and confusion. At my wedding? Her gaze softened for a brief moment, almost hauntingly familiar. I didn't plan this, Lars. But when I found out what happened, I had to come. They deserve to know the truth. The audience buzzed like a nest of disturbed bees, the once celebratory atmosphere spiraling into chaos. Faces turned from curiosity to pity, and he could feel his heartbeat echoing in his ears. Truth? He spat, as heat washed over him. What truth? That you just vanished without a word? or that you've magically created 5 children. Anger surged, drowning out the disbelief. You think this is a joke? Samantha took a step closer, the children clustering around her like lost ducklings. Lars, please, she urged, desperation in her eyes. I know this is all shocking, but they need you. I need you. He staggered back, gripping the edge of the altar desperately, as if that small connection to stability could save him from the unraveling chaos. Questions swirled in his mind like a whirlwind. Could she be telling the truth? Was it possible he was a father? The idea was terrifying, but there was something undeniable about the children's faces so eerily reminiscent of his own. The guests started to murmur, and he could pick out familiar voices echoing his own disbelief. No way. Those kids looked just like him. Lars's world spun on its axis. One woman's return was dragging him down a path he never intended to revisit. You don't get to just drop in and claim my life. He yelled above the din. Samantha's face crumpled, but determination hardened her eyes. Maybe you don't want to hear this now, but I can explain everything if you let me. A hush fell over the crowd as all eyes shifted back to Lars, waiting for a response. This was his moment, caught in the throes of searing betrayal and unanswered questions. He felt on the brink of something monumental, standing between the ghost of the past and the uncertain future. Would he allow her back into his life? Could he even trust what she had to say? Or was this the final blow that would send his carefully crafted world crashing down? As those thoughts raced through his mind, something in the crowd caught his eye. Another figure emerging from the shadows, holding what looked like a photograph, one that could change everything again. What secrets did it hold? What new betrayal was waiting to unfold? Lars's breath caught in his throat as he focused on the figure stepping forward. The person held the photograph close, their face obscured by the light streaming in from the church windows. An icy tendril of fear snaked down his spine. The voices of the crowd faded into a dull roar, swallowed by the enormity of what might happen next. Who are you? He demanded, but the question slipped out weakly, swallowed by his rising panic. The silhouette moved slightly, revealing a face he recognized, a familiar, haunting visage from his past. His heart thumped like a war drum as he strained to recognize the face in the blur of eye-widening disbelief. Jordan, the figure said, stepping into the light. It was one of his old acquaintances from his pre-Samantha life, and the sight was like a punch to the gut. Jordan's expression conveyed a grim seriousness, and he raised the photograph higher. You need to see this, Lars. We all do. Lars felt a chill run through him, anchoring him in place. He wanted to turn away, to block out the connection between them, but something primal in him forced him to take a step forward. What is it? He managed to ask, the depth of his unease surfacing with every passing second. Jordan paused, the tension palpable as the congregation leaned in, straining for a glimpse of the photograph. It's about Samantha and the kids, he stated flatly, but it was the weight of those words that sent a shudder through the collected guests. Samantha stepped forward, the children casting nervous glances between the adults. Lars, you have to trust me. This isn't what you think. Not what I think. He snapped, the tremor in his voice betraying his effort to maintain composure. You brought 5 kids to my wedding without a heads up. What part of that is supposed to be normal? Let him speak. Samantha urged, her voice rising above the murmur. Jordan held the photograph aloft, shaking slightly but determined. Lars, listen, this isn't just a piece of paper. It connects the dots of everything that's happening right now. Fingers trembling, he took the photograph, his heart pounding as he turned it over in his hands. It was an old picture, blurry but undeniable. There, in the frame, stood a younger Samantha with 5 identical kids scattered around her. Their faces were smudged with time, but their resemblance to Lars felt like a suffocating truth that wrapped around him, coiling tighter. What is this? He whispered, the strain of denial fighting against the emerging reality. Before Jordan could reply, Lars felt a hand clasp his shoulder, heavy with the weight of too many expectations. It was Rick, his best man. You need to deal with this, he said quietly, but Lars could see the shock and sympathy etched in Rick's eyes. Lars, that photo, Jordan pressed. It's from a fundraiser we all attended years ago. You were in town, but we thought you'd gone. A realization struck Lars like a bolt of lightning. You mean to say this was? Yes, Jordan nodded solemnly. There's more to the story than you know. Things tangled with people way above your pay grade. The truth is shocking, and it's twisting now. You need to hear it before it's too late. The words hung ominously in the air, the weight of them distant yet near. Lars felt lightheaded. A cocktail of adrenaline and disbelief flooded through him. The laughter of his guests felt like a mocking ghost now echoing in the cavernous church. His eyes locked onto Samantha's. You knew, didn't you? You knew this would surface. I did. But Lars cutting her off. He waved his hand as rage bubbled once more. Don't. Just stop. But even as he said it, the eerie atmosphere wrapped around him, squeezing tighter, reminding him there was more still to come. People stared in stunned silence, waiting for the next shocking revelation. The soft gasp echoed from behind as tension settled back in. Though Lars felt cornered, a hungry curiosity twisted in his gut while he locked his gaze on Jordan. What else are you hiding? He demanded, the storm inside him roaring to the surface. And just like that, the first crack in the facade formed, threatening to break open the dam that had held back secrets for too long. Jordan took a deep breath, steadying himself. The tension in the air was thick enough to choke on. Lars, listen, this photograph is just the tip of the iceberg. He lowered his voice, his tone now serious and grave. Samantha isn't just your wife. She has a past that might change everything. Change what? Lars growled, his heart pounding, fists clenching. Adrenaline surged in him, every instinct screaming for clarity as he shifted his gaze between Jordan and Samantha. People were murmuring around them, casting judgmental glances, each whisper like a knife cutting deeper. The kids, Jordan continued. You need to know who they really are, why they're here today, what's really going on. Lars' mind raced, grappling with the chaos swirling in his chest. You keep saying that. Just tell me, what is the truth? His voice was a mix of anger and desperation, echoing off the ancient church walls. Samantha took a cautious step toward him, her expression a blend of regret and something else, fear. Lars, please. I wanted to protect you. I never wanted this to come out. Protect me? He spat the words back at her, disbelief transforming into a fiery anger. By bringing 5 kids to my wedding without telling me anything? Trust me, it wasn't supposed to happen like this. Her hands trembled as she spoke, eyes pleading. You don't understand, stop. Lars interrupted her sharply. I don't want to hear your excuses. Just tell me what you've done. The room fell near silent, every eye glued to the unfolding drama. Even the children shifted uncomfortably, their innocent faces torn between confusion and fear. Jordan let out a shaky breath, his resolve returning in full force. Lars, the truth is that those kids, they're not just yours. They're hers. Samantha, no, Lars croaked, his throat tightening. It felt as if the ground beneath him had shifted. What do you mean? Jordan looked straight at him, his eyes filled with sympathy. They are her children from before. Children that she thought were lost. She didn't just bring them back here to ruin your wedding. Samantha shook her head vehemently. No, that's not how it happened. It's complicated. Try me, Lars said, his body vibrating with a fierce mix of anger and betrayal. His mind raced to grasp the gravity of her revelations. Years ago, I was involved in a charity project. A surrogacy program gone wrong. When I realized I was pregnant with quintuplets, she hesitated, her voice cracking. The people involved took the kids from me. The hushed silence enveloped the church, punctuated only by the quiet whimpering from the back row where the children stood, eyes wide and confused. Lars felt a surge of nausea. Everything he thought he knew felt like shards of glass in his chest. You're saying they were taken from you? Yes. And I thought I lost them forever. Samantha's voice tremored, desperation clawing through her words. But now they're back, and I can't lose them again. Jordan stepped in, urgency in his voice. Lars, what you need to realize is that it's not just Samantha's past. It's tied to people who suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the church. The front doors swung open, and a stranger stormed in. Lars felt the air shift again, icy fingers of dread slithering down his spine as the name escaped the newcomer's lips. Samantha. The voice boomed, dripping with accusation and fury. The figure was tall, shrouded in darkness, but there was no mistaking the face. Who are you? Lars demanded, heart racing. It felt like his entire world was spiraling, and now someone just pierced the final veil of acceptable madness. The stranger's gaze sliced through the chaos, landing firmly on Samantha. You thought you could run forever? The truth is about to explode. Lars clutched the edge of the pew for balance, his body on edge. Waves of dread crashed over him, and the weight of secrets started to feel unbearable. What truth? He whispered, knowing in his gut he was on the verge of discovering horrors he wasn't prepared to face. As the stranger stepped closer, shadows falling like ominous clouds. A single thought echoed in Lars' mind. What else was hiding in the dark corners of Samantha's life? The stranger moved with a menacing confidence, his dark silhouette casting a long shadow across the sunlit church. Lars felt trapped, like a deer caught in headlights, struggling to comprehend the storm that was brewing in front of him. "Samantha, we need to talk now," the stranger insisted, urgency dripping from his words. His eyes bore into hers with a mix of anger and desperation, as if every second wasted sealed the fate of something far more significant than a wedding gone wrong. Samantha took a step back, her body tensing. "Evan, please, not here. Not here. You're kidding, right? This place is where your lies began." Evan raised his voice, and the whispers resumed among the crowd, their expressions a mix of shock and growing intrigue. Lars felt his heart thundering in his chest. "Why are you doing this? Who the hell are you?" Evan didn't take his eyes off Samantha. "I'm someone who knows the truth. The truth about everything you've kept hidden. For years, Samantha. You thought you could bury it all and move on. But this," he gestured dramatically toward the children, standing innocent and confused. "This is what you left behind." The tension in the air thickened, turning palpable as each breath became a struggle. Samantha's composure began to crack, tears glinting in the corners of her eyes. "I thought they were gone, Evan. I thought I had lost them." "Lost? Or taken?" Lars interjected, an unsettling realization creeping into his thoughts. The foundations of his world seemed to tremble beneath him. "What did you do, Samantha?" "Lars," she started, a plea in her voice, but Evan sharpened his focus. "Tell him the truth. Tell him you never intended to get them back legally. Tell him you were supposed to just forget." The silence was a vacuum, swallowing all noise, leaving only the shaky breaths echoing off the walls. Lars felt the sting of betrayal in his chest, cold and sharp. "Forget about your children? Your own flesh and blood?" Samantha shook her head, her voice breaking. "No, I love them, I fought for them. But I was powerless." Evan stepped forward, fists clenched. "But nobody knows you stole them back, Samantha. Nobody knows what you still owe." Lars stumbled backward, confusion clawing at him. "Stole? What do you mean? This can't be true." Samantha's tears fell, glimmering like shattered glass against her wedding gown. "I thought I could handle it, Lars. I never wanted to hurt you. I needed to protect you and our life together from this nightmare." "What nightmare?" Lars shouted, anger melding with despair as he turned to the children, their faces mirroring his confusion. "They deserve the truth." A low rumble echoed inside Lars' chest as he began to piece together the situation. The kids, they all shared similarities with Samantha. The same curly hair, the same wide eyes. But it was more than that. It was there in their smiles, their mirthful laughter. Evan cut through his thoughts. "This is bigger than you think, Lars. There are people who want these kids back, and if she doesn't handle it, they will come back for them. And for her." Lars grit his teeth, panic and fury battling within him. "So that's why you came here? To expose her? To throw her under the bus at our wedding? Stop looking at me like I'm the bad guy here. You have no idea what dangers lurk in the shadows of her past." Evan's voice rose like thunder. "If you truly love her and those kids, you need to make a choice right now." "Make a choice?" Lars echoed, disbelief washing over him. "What choice?" As the tension escalated, it felt like the walls of the church were closing in. Every gaze felt like a spotlight, tightening around him, squeezing the air from his lungs. Who are you going to protect? Your soon-to-be wife or the children she lied to protect? The clock is ticking, Lars. Lars's heart raced, the weight of the moment settling heavily. As he looked around at the people gathered, each confused and judging, a chilling thought surged through him. What if the truth was darker than he could ever imagine? In that moment, everything felt poised on the edge of a knife. What was he willing to sacrifice in order to save them all? Lars's mind raced, churning with conflicting dreams and nightmares while the reality around him twisted like smoke. He shifted his gaze between Samantha and the stranger, Evan, desperation clawing at him. He could feel the packed church stirring, eyes flickering with uncertainty, filling the silence with an unbearable pressure. "Samantha," he urged softly, a plea for clarity. "Please, tell me what's going on. Just one truthful answer." For a moment, she hesitated, choking on words that seemed stuck in her throat. Her eyes darted toward the crowd, then back to him, the turmoil clear on her face. It was evident that she was fighting an internal battle, one that waged between a mother's love and the weight of her past mistakes. "I took them back," she finally whispered, her voice barely audible. "But I never meant to keep them away forever. I wanted to shield them." "Shield them?" Lars repeated, incredulity strengthening his resolve. "From what?" "You've created a prison for yourself," and Evan interjected, his voice louder than ever. "No, she created a prison for them, Lars. This mess, this twisted web of lies, it's only just starting to unravel. You think if you marry her, it'll be happily ever after? You have no clue what's out there waiting." The crowd murmured, some faces haunted by suspicion, while others exchanged knowing glances. The fragile peace was shattered, and in that moment, every secret whispered through the years became a thunderstorm reverberating within the church walls. "Stay out of this, Evan," Samantha barked, her pain morphing into anger. "You don't know the half of it, and you think you can keep it hidden forever?" He shot back, a sarcastic smile sneering at her defiance. "You're only digging your grave deeper. Those kids have a family who wants them back." "Family?" Lars echoed, confusion multiplying. "What does that mean? Who?" "Enough with this game. They're not safe. And if you marry her, you'll drag them into danger," Evan spat, his face suddenly close, full of urgency. "There are people who will come for them. For you, Samantha. They don't play around." Samantha gasped, stumbling as the weight of Evan's words hit her. No one should need to worry. I've hidden it well. I have." But Lars wasn't convinced. A sickening realization to protect the children flushed through him, intertwining with love and distrust. "I can't marry someone who refuses to be honest." Evan stepped back, allowing the pressure to build around Lars, whispering like a bad omen. "This isn't just about you choosing, Lars. It's about whether you're willing to put your life and theirs on the line for a past she never escaped from." "Stop," Samantha cried, her face pale as the truth swirled around her. "If you love me, you'll trust that I can handle this. Just give me time. I can fix everything." "Fix? What if it's already too late?" The uncertainty sent shudders of fear down Lars's spine. Just then, a sudden noise broke through the tense atmosphere. A low growl echoed from outside, an engine revving aggressively. The crowd turned as a flash of chrome burst into view, a sleek gold Ferrari screeching to a halt in front of the church. Everyone froze. "Who's that?" someone whispered. The door swung open, revealing a figure wrapped in mystery, a confident woman stepping out. With every step she took toward the entrance, Lars felt dread curling in the pit of his stomach. Who was she? And what role did she play in this twisted saga? "Looks like the past just caught up with you, Samantha," Evan murmured, the corners of his mouth twitching into a smile. Lars's heart hammered. What was happening? What more could be hidden in the shadows of Samantha's life? And who was this enigmatic figure that might change everything? As she approached, every gaze in the church seemed to sharpen with curiosity, ready to explode into chaos at any moment. The truth was unraveling faster than he could handle, and the stakes had just gotten painfully higher. What secrets would this woman unveil, and would it shatter the fragile ties that still existed? The woman walked into the church with an air of defiance, the heels of her designer shoes clicking against the floor as if spurring the gathering into submission. Her striking features, framed by long, crimson hair, commanded attention immediately. Lars glanced at Samantha, who had paled, and he felt the tension ripple through the pews. Everybody was holding their breath. As she approached, the woman paused, surveying the crowd. She smirked. Well, if it isn't the happy couple. Or should I say, still waiting to be happy? That voice was sharp as a knife, slicing through the thick tension. Who are you? Lars demanded, trying to keep his voice steady while every muscle in his body was taut with anxiety. Someone who knows a little bit about the past, she replied, her gaze piercing into Samantha, sending a shiver down Lars's spine. And what it takes to unravel it all. Lily, Samantha's voice dropped to a whisper, barely above the murmur of gasps echoing through the church. A stormy mix of emotions trepidated across her face: fear, recognition, and something else that tugged at Lars's heart: regret. You didn't ever think I'd stay away forever, did you? Lily continued, her lips curling into a wry smile. I mean, with the kids involved, of course I had to come back. The word kids hung in the air like a heavy fog. Lars's heart raced. What do you know about them? Who are you to come here? And she has every right to be here, Evan said, his eyes flaring with some mix of anger and relief. She's the one who knows the real truth. This isn't just about Samantha anymore. Enough, Samantha shouted, face flushing in a whirlwind of colors. She stepped forward, her voice trembling but firm. You don't get to come in here and turn everything upside down, Lily. You don't know what I've been through to protect them. But I know you've been lying, Sam, Lily shot back, eyes narrowing. And lies have a way of coming out, especially when there's money involved. Lars's stomach twisted at the implication. Money? What did she mean? He shot Samantha a questioning look, but she avoided his gaze, her throat tight. The congregation was now in an uproar, whispers turning into full-blown conversations as everyone pieced together the tension. Eyes darted from Samantha to Lily and back to Lars. They were all hungry for answers, and so was he. Protect them or keep them away. Evan pressed, the urgency of his voice cutting through the noise. They're your children, Sam. It's about time you stop covering for whatever mess you've created. I a mess. Samantha snapped, defensively crossing her arms. But Lars saw a crack in her armor, a flicker of fear that danced in her eyes. Lily stepped closer, her voice dropping, conspiratorial. You know she's been living in fear. There are people out there looking for the kids, and they want to stop until they have what they want. The weight of Lily's words crushed down like a lead blanket. Lars felt the breath hitch in his throat. Everything that made sense before began to disintegrate into chaos. What do you mean? He whispered, feeling a lump rise in his throat. Who is looking for them? You really don't know, do you? Samantha thought she could hide forever, but the truth has a way of bringing the past crashing in, Lily said, turning to the crowd. Time to wake up, people. If those children are in danger, we all deserve to know why. Confusion and panic rippled through the church like a tidal wave. All eyes were wide, glued to Lily, and Lars felt reality cracking apart at the seams. He turned to Samantha, desperation gripping him. What is going on? Who's after them? You have to tell me the truth. Tears welled in her eyes as she finally looked at him, bare despair etched across her face. I didn't want to pull you into this. You deserve more than this. The gears were turning, but Lars felt lost in the whirlwind. His mind raced to decipher the broken pieces of this chaotic puzzle. Are we really going to pretend we're not in danger here? Lily interrupted, her voice ringing with certainty. Because if you don't face this now, you'll lose everything you care about. The weight of the looming reality squeezed Lars's heart, constricting his thoughts. Yet, through all the fear, a flicker of determination kindled within him. The stakes were higher than a mere wedding. He wouldn't let fear dictate his choices. But in that moment, another rumble shook the ground beneath them, a low growl pulsating through the church. The doors banged against the wall as a shadow fell over the threshold. Looks like more than just your past is catching up to you. Samantha, came a voice, deep and menacing. And we need to talk. Fear flooded through Lars, heart racing as unknown figures loomed nearby, threatening to blast open every secret, every hidden truth. Would this unravel everything they had fought so hard to piece together? What more was hidden in the darkness waiting to emerge? The tension in the church hit a breaking point. The heavy door swung wide, revealing two men dressed in dark suits, their expressions grim. Each carried an air of authority that made Lars's skin crawl. Whispers turned into gasps, and a palpable dread descended. Who the hell are you? Lars demanded, stepping protectively in front of Samantha, instincts kicking in. This was his moment to shield her, even if he felt a pit forming in his stomach. Let us keep this civil, shall we? One of the men replied, voice smooth yet laced with menace. We're not here to cause a scene unless you force our hand. Samantha's eyes widened, darting between Lars and Lily. You shouldn't have come here. This isn't the place. You're scaring everyone. But it was too late. The crowd was already dissolving into chaos. Scaring? We're just trying to clarify some misunderstandings, the second man added, smirking as he surveyed the congregation. Right, Lily? Enough, Lily snapped, her voice unexpectedly fierce. This isn't a war zone. Just tell them what you came to say. That's right, just the facts, the first man said, stepping forward, his gaze locking onto Lars. Your fiancée has a lot to answer for. We have reason to believe she has been keeping something very important from you. Lars's heart hammered in his chest. What are you talking about? What does she have to answer for? Tell me, Samantha, he pressed, his voice shaking just slightly. What is this about? Samantha hesitated, her lips pressing into a thin line. Lars, please, I don't know how to make you understand, she pleaded, tears pooling in her eyes. It's not safe to say everything here. The vulnerability in her tone sliced through Lars. Why couldn't she just be honest? What was it going to take to break down her walls? The men exchanged glances, clearly savoring this moment. It seems like we've touched a nerve, the second man said, a gleam of satisfaction in his eyes. We'll keep it simple. Involvement with certain transactions can lead to severe consequences. Transactions? Lars echoed, confusion deepening. What does that even mean? A tangled web indeed, Lily interjected. Samantha's past is not just hers anymore. We're all part of it now. The words felt heavy, a weight plunging into Lars's gut. He turned his attention back to Samantha, her expression a mask of fear and conflict. What aren't you telling me? Samantha, the first man said, crossing his arms, if you don't come clean, we'll have no choice but to escalate things. Trust me, we'd hate to drag your children into this. Bile rose in Lars's throat at the mention of the kids. What do they have to do with this? Lily stepped forward, her voice low but clear. They're in danger, Lars. Because of the choices Samantha made. We're trying to help, but only if she cooperates. The room was boiling with anxiety. Eyes shifted, faces pale. Rumors swirled, and everyone seemed to be on the verge of panic. Enough games, Lars said, determination flaring. Tell me everything. Right now? Samantha glanced at the men, then back at Lars. Desperation twisted her features. What if it puts you at risk? What if they come for you too? Let them come, he snapped, anger burning brightly now. I want to let them play with our lives. Just tell me the truth. The moment hung heavy in the air, silence wrapping around them like a thick fog. The first man leaned in closer, eyes narrowing. You think you can handle the truth? You might wish you hadn't asked. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Shadows danced across the walls, intensifying the fear swirling in the church. Lars squinted into the darkness, muscles tensed for whatever would emerge next. You can try to ignore it, the second man spat, but the truth? It's always there. And it's time we extracted it one way or another. Before anyone could react, a loud crashing sound erupted outside, pulling every gaze away from the confrontation. The doors swung shut, blocking the light, and panic gripped the room once again. Lars's heart raced as he turned to Samantha. What now? A creak echoed ominously, and the air grew colder, more suffocating. Something sinister was on the horizon, and Lars could feel it sinking into the pit of his stomach. They're coming for us, Samantha whispered, terror bleeding from her voice. What would happen next? Lars knew they could only defy the shadows closing in on them for so long. Lars barely had a moment to absorb Samantha's fearful whisper before the sound of shattering glass echoed from the rear of the church. Panic rippled through the congregation, and people surged toward the exits, eager to escape the menacing presence of the suited strangers. Stay close to me, he hissed at Samantha, his voice low and urgent. The last thing he wanted was for her to be swept away in the chaos. His chest tightened as he scanned the crowd, assessing their faces twisted with fear. The first man, maintaining his calm facade, held up a hand to silence the fleeing crowd. This doesn't concern you, he declared, voice booming like thunder. Lily, we need to speak with your friend privately. Forget it, Lily shot back, positioning herself defensively in front of Lars and Samantha. You want a discussion? Do it out in the open, like normal people. The second man chuckled, a chilling sound. Oh, my dear, we're far from normal. He took another step forward, his eyes glinting with a devious light. This is serious. It's about the safety of her children. Lars clenched his fists, feeling the heat of anger flood through him. You're not scaring us, he said, forcing the words out through gritted teeth. Tell us what you want. The first man finally turned his attention back to Samantha. The truth, Samantha. No more hiding. Your past is catching up to you, and it's time you faced it. It's not just your life on the line anymore. Samantha trembled, pressing her back against Lars. I can't, she whispered, her eyes darting around. Each second felt like a countdown, ticking down to disaster. If I tell you now, they'll come for you too. Who will? Lars' voice cracked, the weight in his chest growing unbearable. We can't keep living in fear. You have to trust me. Just then, the ground shook with the force of another impact outside, like a battering ram crashing into the door. The heavy wooden barrier rattled, splinters erupting into the air. The crowd screamed, swirling like leaves caught in a storm. Get down, Lars shouted, instinctively pushing Samantha to the floor beside him. The dread pooling in his stomach transformed into terror. Before they could process what was happening, the air filled with shouts and the clash of metal. More men in dark clothing burst into the church, guns drawn, faces masked with ominous intent. Distrust flowed through Lars like ice as he shielded Samantha with his body. Enough! One of the intruders barked, a commanding voice slicing through the chaos. We came for Samantha. No one else needs to get hurt. Lily stepped forward, defiant yet visibly shaken. You think you can just walk in here and claim her? She doesn't owe you anything. The leading intruder fixed his intense gaze on her. Your friend is in deep trouble, and she's south dragging down anyone close to her. Lars' mind raced. The connections weren't adding up, and he felt a desperate urge to piece it all together. What did she do? He shouted. The man took a step closer, narrowing his eyes. You'll regret not knowing, but you'll find out soon enough. This is no game. In the end, everyone involved will pay the price if she doesn't cooperate. Time nearly froze as Lars processed the words, understanding dawning on him like a slow morning light. You hurt my family. He roared, adrenaline coursing through him. He felt a protective instinct rise, a forceful wave washing over his uncertainty. Suddenly, Samantha gripped his arm, urgency grounding him in the present. Lars, I need to tell you, she stammered, her eyes glistening with the weight of her confession. But before she could speak, another loud crash reverberated off the walls, causing the ceiling lights to flicker threateningly. A chill shot through the room as the intruders turned their focus back. The leading man raised his voice above the din. Samantha, it's time to choose your silence, or the safety of those you love. The room fell deathly silent, leaving only the crackling tension in the air. Lars' heart raced as he searched Samantha's face, willing her to reveal what they were all about to face. But, before she could answer, the uninvited guests made their next move, and the church plunged into chaos once more. What awaited them next? Was the truth an even darker prison than silence? The pandemonium in the church spun out of control like a whirlwind, trapping Lars and Samantha in an inescapable vortex of dread. The intruders moved with ruthless precision, their eyes flashing with calculated menace. Lars felt the tension coiling tighter in his chest. He had to find a way to protect them. But how? Lars. Samantha's urgent whisper cut through the chaos, her grip tightening on his arm as understanding flickered in her eyes. I'll explain everything, but we need to move. They can't hear what I have to say here. He nodded, though fear twisted in his gut. Right. Just trust me, he replied, desperation creasing his brow. He ushered her toward the nearest exit, glancing back at the stunned congregation. Eyes were still locked on the unfolding mayhem. People were frozen, part horror show, part witness to the crumbling world they had believed to be straightforward. The room shuddered again as one of the intruders pushed a pew aside, making space, instigating chaos once more. You're running out of time, Samantha, he shouted, and Lars felt his resolve hardening. Let us go. He pulled Samantha along, past startled guests who were now clamoring for the exits. Caught between curiosity and fear as they burst through a side door into the crisp air, Lars took a moment to breathe. What is going on? He demanded, his voice hoarse. I thought I could trust you, but now it feels like everything is crashing down. Samantha took a step back, her face a portrait of distress. I know, and I'm so sorry. You have to believe me. I never wanted to drag you into this. Her voice cracked, hurt flickering in her eyes. But you did. Tell me the truth right now, or I can't protect you. The firm resolve bristled between them, palpable like a charged atmosphere before a storm. "They're after the kids," she confessed, her voice trembling. "I thought I could keep them safe. That's why I took them back. Evan, Lily, they're all connected to people who don't want me to succeed. I didn't mean for this to happen." The panic flowed through Lars like ice, scraping away remnants of trust. "What have you gotten us into?" Just as her eyes filled with recognition of the enormity of it all, another crash echoed from the church's entrance. The imposing figures of dark suits filled the doorway, peppered with menacing stars swirling in the chaos that tracked them. Lars could see them taking their places, forming a perimeter. An insidious game was unfolding. "What do you want?" Lars demanded, stepping in front of Samantha protectively, adrenaline flooding his system. The leading intruder spoke with chilling calm. "We want Samantha to answer the questions we posed before. No running. No hiding. This is your last chance." "I can't," Samantha shouted back, desperation clawing at her throat. It pained Lars to see her so broken, caught between inner turmoil and external threats. Samantha took a breath, trembling hands raised in front of her. "I was living under a protection plan after the incident. I thought I was safe. But the past at 1T stay buried. They want me to return, complete their mission. I can't let anyone, especially the kids, be dragged into this." Each word dripped with tension, a bittersweet confession wrapped in fear, reverberating like a drum echoing into their uncertain future. Lars's heart thundered in his ears. Was her life as fragile as the glass trinkets haphazardly tossed back into safety? "You need to protect those kids," he said firmly, voice low but filled with determination. "We need to fight." A collective pause hung in the air, invaders and protectors caught in that moment of tension. "So be it," the intruder declared, glancing at the others. "If you want to cooperate, we have no choice. Samantha will pay the price for this game." Panic surged through Lars, but he held his ground. "No," he shouted, lunging forward. But the intruders were already advancing on Samantha, the threat clear. And when everything shattered, a deafening roar filled the air as the front doors exploded inward, wood and metal scattering like confetti. A dark silhouette advanced, cutting through the chaos. Lars's heart raced. Who was this new player in the game? Thunderous footsteps reverberated as the figure was revealed to be none other than the kids. They rushed in, lights glinting off their charming features, innocence radiating from their every step. Each one clung to his arm, eyes wide, filled with confusion and concern. Suddenly, it all clicked. Their mere presence was enough to throw everything into turmoil. "Let us go, Dad," the eldest shouted defiantly, determination lighting her gaze. "You promised to always protect us." Lars felt every muscle in his body tighten, barely capable of carrying the colossal burden of truth weighing upon him. "What?" His voice cracked. "What do you mean?" "They said you'd pick us," she began, confusion breaching the surface of her youthful expression. "We need to go now? They're coming for us." Every thought that had been racing through Lars's mind came crashing down. The truth shattered around him, revealing the fractures in their fragile world. A wave of emotion flooded through him, fear, sorrow, and an unyielding sense of duty. "No," Samantha pleaded, pushing him toward the door as chaos erupted anew. "You can't stay here. We have to run." But adventure was no longer an option. They could no longer hide. As sinister shadows loomed closer, reality settled in with relentless force. Together, they had to stand and fight for their family. "Lars," Samantha's voice pierced through the booming chaos. "We're all in this together. We can face them, but we have to trust each other." With one determined look exchanged between them, Lars nodded. "Then let us end this once and for all." In that electrifying moment, with the stakes higher than ever, they committed to their truth, ready to rise against the storm gathering before them. Everything had led to this point. This was their moment to confront their past and step into the light of their future together. But before they could launch into action, they heard the unmistakable sound of sirens, growing louder and louder, echoing through the chaos. The authorities were on their way, but would they arrive in time? Or was it all just another twist in the tale? As the shadows lengthened, their fates hung in the balance, waiting to be seized or sacrificed. Fate was calling. Would they answer? Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm, because every click helps. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this intense conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this all ends. You need to show your support now.